Welcome to Ghostly.
Is Joliet Prison haunted?
Ghostly is a podcast that will be coming out every week until Halloween,
That was a change.
when we will be going back to every other week after Halloween. In each episode, we take a ghost story or a paranormal event and look into its complete history. Rebecca then gives us evidence proving that the story is real. And my job then is to debate those pieces of evidence and get you, the listener, prepared to vote on if it's real or not. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. And as always, we are your host. I'm Pat.
And I'm Rebecca.
What's been going on, Rebecca?
Well, we are hard at work at on the book club, the Ghostly Book Club.
We definitely are, yeah.
Yeah, we have picked our book and we've set up the website and it is ready to go. So we did make a slight change from our last episode.
We did.
We did. So originally we were going to limit it to people on Ghostly Society on Facebook.
Yeah, but that's not fair, right?
Yeah, there were some people.
I love my society people, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yes. And they are going to get, you know, some special stuff and they get early access to information and all sorts of things. But, you know, I was feeling bad. I wanted people to be able to join even if you're not on social media. So you can actually go to ghostlypodcast.com and click on book club and sign up.
And the thing is, the books that we will be reading are going to be about something to do with episodes that are coming out. And we'll be doing one every couple of months. So it's not too stressful. But this is the kind of book club where you need to read the book, right?
Yeah, this is, I'm not saying that you can't have some sort of beverage while you're at the book club online, but you need to also be prepared to talk about the book.
Okay, English professor.
Sorry, that's the way it goes.
So how do they sign up for this book club then?
Yeah, so again, go to ghostlypodcast.com and click on book club, and there'll be a form right there. Just give us your name and email, and we'll send you information. You'll probably get at least one or maybe even two emails from me. I will bring, we'll send out some questions and some things to think about. And then we'll also, of course, make sure you have the link to join us live.
Via Zoom.
Because everyone has to have Zoom nowadays, right? And our first meeting is going to be Thursday, October 29th.
Yes.
So perfect timing for Halloween. So Thursday night, October 29th. And costumes are welcome. In fact, encouraged.
You could even dress up and look like Bob from Bob After Dark if you wanted to.
You could. We actually have had a good number of people sign up. So I hope we have a few more. I have some good ideas of how to do this in a fun way where everyone gets to participate.
And, you know, I might have something for whoever has the best costume.
Whoa.
This is being announced here.
To me too.
Because we just put out our new ghostly masks. Now, we've had masks in the past, but these masks are from our vendor that we use for our store, and we love the quality of them. And these masks are spectacular.
Yeah.
Where our other ones were great, these are like even better.
Yes. I'm very excited about these masks. And
so I might have a mask to hand out.
There you go. Yeah. And we've got all sorts of other great merchandise out there. And maybe we'll add a few more things for Christmas. You never know. Could happen.
Who knows? And we might even have a sale going on around Halloween time.
You know, I mean, October is such a special month.
It's the ghostliest time of the year.
It is.
All right. So We don't do this very often, but we do have a section in here that we like to call shout-outs.
Shout-outs!
Now, there are two ways that you can get a shout-out on Ghostly. One is to leave us a review on Apple Podcast, right?
Yep, and we love that.
Yeah, we do, absolutely. And we do have one of those today.
Ooh, exciting.
But I'd like to start off by our other way that you can get a shout out, and that is to help us on Buy Me a Coffee. So you can get to that right through our webpage too. If you go to Ghostly Podcast, you'll see the link in the menu where it's Buy Us a Coffee. If you buy us a coffee or become a member, we will give you a shout out.
Yeah, on the show.
And so this time, Jody, our trivia winner,
yay, Jody!
she bought us some coffee.
That was so nice.
So if we seem extra jittery today, it's because of Jody.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you.
And Candy became a member. So thank you guys so much. Candy has been a listener since the very beginning.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. You know, Pat and I do this show on our own.
Yeah.
We're not on a network or any big group.
Well, even though we have ads, nobody's paying for ads.
Yeah, those are more for us and for our friends, and so we do this out of joy for ourselves. But you know,
it's nice to get a coffee.
Any support is certainly helpful.
Coffee is expensive. For just being beans and water, it is coffee. It is expensive.
Well, your coffee is.
Yeah, because I like it fancy.
Yeah.
So do you want to read our Apple Podcast review?
Absolutely.
Who's it by?
The Old BM likes mac and cheese.
The Old BM likes mac and cheese. I love that.
Yep. There you go. So this says spectacularly spooky. I just started listening to this podcast to help make my jogs more interesting, and I love it.
Wow.
I'm kind of team in the middle, although I've had a couple experiences in my, I'm guessing, life I can't fully explain. The mix of history and ghost stories makes for a perfect combination and a spectacularly spooky podcast.
Wow. That is a great review.
Yeah.
And it was 5-star.
It was a 5-star review.
I mean, they don't always have to be 5-star, but we really love the 5-star, of course, right?
It helps us a lot and it helps people find us.
Absolutely. Do you have any listener mail for us?
I do have some listener mail for us. And I'm excited to read this one. It's a little long, but
okay.
It's going to be good.
All right.
All right. Okay, so it says, "Hey guys, my name is Ariana, and I label myself as a skeptical believer. I recently found your podcast just trying to find something paranormal to listen to, and I stumbled on Ghostly. I instantly fell in love with the podcast. I loved hearing from both sides of the argument, from learning history, listening to the evidence, and the debates. I also have a couple more podcasts I want to listen to that are right up my alley from you guys giving suggestions as I found my love for podcasts.
Awesome.
Maybe Bob will get a listener.
Maybe, yeah.
All right. So here we go. I know you guys love ghost stories that pertain to your fans. I often go back and forth between mind of believing and not believing, as I was still young and I had some crazy imagination. My family and I moved from Hammond, Indiana, so I have some fond memories of Chicago to Dothan, Alabama.
Oh, well, I know Hammond, Indiana. I don't know Dothan.
Okay. Culture shock is an understatement. I could see that.
Yeah.
For a while, we lived with my grandparents and soon enough got our own place. It was a small trailer on 2 acres of land, and behind our land was a nice little wooded area. There are 2 events that really stick out in my mind. First was of this doll I had, and is now the reason why I'm scared of them. This is why I think
there might be a future episode about a doll.
I mean,
I'm not going to say when, but there might be one.
Well, there's a lot of creepy dolls out there.
Yeah.
Bob
loves those
Bob
dolls.
loves the creepy dolls, yes. You should all send him some. My grandmother gifted me a doll, one of those baby dolls, not porcelain. She had blonde hair, blue eyes, and pale skin. She resembled me, and that's why my grandmother gave her to me. I loved this doll in the beginning, played with her all the time, and as any kid around the age of 8 or 9, I ended up losing interest in it and basically threw it in my closet. The doll would often appear out of the closet.
Whoa.
Okay. That sounds creepy. Most of the time after school or dinner, so I couldn't blame my other two siblings. There was even a time I buried her under things, only I knew where she was. She somehow ended up on my bed, which was the top bunk.
Wow.
I want to believe my brother or sister did it as a joke, but even to this day, they both say they never did. I finally got rid of her and any other doll I had at this point. I still have a really big fear of dolls because of this. The second event, I still can't explain. This was sometime after the whole doll situation. I was left home with my baby brother who was napping. We also didn't have pets at the time before I began this. Like it was just the two of us in the house. He was napping and I was in my room folding clothes. He was a baby at the time and still stayed in my parents' room. Their room shared the same wall as my sister's and my room. So if my brother woke up, I could hear him. I was folding my clothes and all of a sudden I hear what sounds like someone shaking his crib. Not like he was moving crib noises, but shaking it. So I went to check on him thinking he was awake. He wasn't. I brushed it off and thought I was hearing things. Went to my room and finished folding laundry, and not even 5 minutes later, I hear it again. I go back in and check again. My brother hasn't moved, and I start kind of freaking out at this point. I brush it off, though. I go back and hear it again. At this point, I just grabbed my little brother. I didn't care if I woke him up or not. I did have a couple of friends say they always felt uncomfortable in the house and heard voices. I lived in a trailer and not in a wonderful neighborhood, so I didn't think anything of it. I also had a friend say she saw a face in the back of the closet, but to me that doesn't seem to be anything because it's a dark closet and my parents constantly had things against the wall in the closet, so I don't know. Sorry for making this long, but I have one more story. It's at a different place though. After my parents got a divorce and my dad got a house in the middle of town, that's where a lot of old houses sit and whatnot. In this house, it always felt like someone was there with you. I can't explain it any other way. My dad and my older brother often would get into heated arguments, like screaming matches. They just constantly butted heads. This spirit did not like that. It would often throw things across the room. The most memorable was a light bulb. Light bulb was sitting on the edge of our fireplace. It wasn't on the edge of the ledge.
The edge of the ledge.
Yes. It wasn't on the edge, and the ledge was plenty big enough for the light bulb.
The edge of the ledge.
The edge of the ledge. They are screaming. They never laid hands on each other, just screaming. I'm watching because they are screaming, and the light bulb comes crashing to the middle of the floor. No one was near it. No one is stomping their feet. They also weren't screaming loud enough to shatter glass or anything. We call it a calm ghost, and it hated when people fought. It was its way to get people to stop because you know what it worked. Anytime we saw something fly from a different place, both my dad and brother knew it was time to stop.
Wow.
That's it. Thank you for taking the time to read this. Thank you for making Ghostly. I'm almost caught up. I'm currently on the Jack the Ripper episode. I really enjoy your guys' stuff and can't wait to see what the future holds for you guys. With much appreciation.
Aw, that was really nice.
That was super nice.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
You know, flying light bulbs and
dolls appearing out of nowhere. Cribs. Cage. They kept the kid in a cage.
Maybe they should have kept him in a cage. There probably wouldn't be as much rattling, I'm thinking.
Well, I tell you, growing up, my mom and my older brother had many a screaming match, and I wish we had had a ghost that would interrupt that.
That would throw light bulbs at him?
Well, you know, or at least to the ground and kind of shake things up a little bit.
Well, thank you very much, Ariana. We really appreciate it, and you have a cool name. Just thought I'd say that.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah. So, well, I know I probably didn't get any votes in the polls from the Country House episode.
Well, it was a pretty creepy episode.
Yeah, and I got a lot of like mail from people being like, "How could you not believe this?" So I guess it's time to do the polls.
Hey, you've won the last couple. So, you know, have some.
And I'm going to win this
hope.
one too. So, I mean, might as well give you one
It's
occasionally.
It's possible. All right. So our last episode, as we mentioned, we talked about the country house. The question was, is the country house restaurant haunted? Yes, 66.7%.
Wow.
No, 33.3%.
I really thought it would be a blowout.
Well, I think that's pretty good.
I mean, I do too. I mean, you won, you know, obviously, but, you know, it's closer to 50-50, so I'm just going to call it a tie.
No.
Well, I control the stats on the website, so I'll just mark this one as a tie. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I really thought it was going to be closer to like 90-10.
Yeah. No, I think the skeptics like voting on the website. We get some more skeptics when we're on the website rather than on
less
social
believers
media.
go on the website. So whether you're hashtag team believer or hashtag team skeptic, you're going to need to go over to ghostlypodcast.com, click on polls, and vote in the polls. It's that easy.
It's that easy. And we're going to have all sorts of, as we said, extra episodes coming up here. So more important than ever.
Yes.
To get on the website and vote.
And we're going to have many debates in each one of those episodes, too, that you're going to want to vote on.
Absolutely.
So it might change the outcome of the conclusion episode that we have planned.
Yeah, it's going to all lead up to the conclusion episode. It's going to be...
So speaking of episodes, let's just get into this one, okay?
Yep.
So I am super excited about doing Joliet Prison. We kind of touched upon Joliet Prison when we talked with Nick Mataragas. Remember, he's not the host of Freak of the Week.
No,
podcast.
He is not the host of Freak of the Week, which Ghostly has been on.
Yes.
With not Nick Mataragas.
No, yeah, with David Hickney.
Right.
That is not a fictitious person.
Right. And
I'm
not
just saying that.
Nick Mataragas at all.
And not Nick Mataragas. But anyways, he was John Wayne Gacy in
Ghost Adventures.
In a Ghost
episode.
Adventure episode. I mean, he probably was John Wayne Gacy too. I mean, I don't know. I don't know exactly how that works, but he probably was. If you ever see the pictures of him portraying him, or if you watch that Ghost Adventures episode,
it's pretty creepy.
You know, Nick is a pretty creepy guy most of the time, and he was especially creepy then. So, geez. No, I mean, we really appreciated Nick coming on. But then we found out that two of Ghostly's friends have separate books about Joliet Prison.
That are coming out, or already just came out.
They already came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When we did the John Wayne Gacy episode, we touched upon Joliet Prison, but we didn't go over everything, and I really thought that it deserved its own episode anyways.
Yes.
So, Wendy Moxley Rowe, who was on our Bachelor's Grove episodes, has a book titled Haunted Joliet Prison. And Chicago's Queen of the Paranormal, Ursula Bielski, has a book called The Haunting of Joliet Prison. Ursula was part of our Chicago's Paranormal panel, and a lot of the ghost stories associated to Chicago either were first brought to our attention by Ursula, or she took part in some of the investigation of those things. Even our last episode on the Country House, that was Ursula's second investigation in 1988.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, when we do Chicago episodes, it usually has something to do with Ursula anyways.
Yeah, and also Wendy has definitely been a source for us as well for Bachelor's Grove.
Absolutely. So knowing all of this, we really wanted to take a look at Joliet Prison before we read the books. I'm that kind of person. I want to have all the details before I start reading.
Yeah, and we definitely encourage you all to check out those books as well. I'll certainly have links to them in our show notes.
Yeah, so, because I really like to know the history of these stories before diving into those books. I'm sure both of them do a great job. Wendy is actually like a historian.
Oh, yeah,
so
absolutely.
I am sure that they cover the history probably better than we do even, but I like to have that information at hand when I'm reading. Also, I've been to Joliet Prison many times.
Really?
Not as an inmate, Rebecca. I knew where you were going with that.
Okay.
But just, I used to drive over there as a late night cruise that I used to take. I know it seems weird, but I would go to St. James at Sag Bridge. And, oftentimes that would lead me into Joliet, which is only about, 15 miles away from St. James.
Yes.
The Joliet Prison.
Right.
And then when I would come back, I would go past Resurrection Cemetery. It was kind of like my weekly thing I would do.
Wow. And yet you're not a believer. It's very weird.
And I talked Rebecca into going there with me last night.
Yeah, I was tired after a long day. I did a lot of fall activities yesterday,
Yes.
pumpkins and apples and all sorts of things, but
I did not.
but I was persuaded, and I'm very happy that we went. I learned a lot, and it's really interesting to see how this fits into the Chicago paranormal landscape. Like, I'm glad
The South Side, at least.
Right, the South Side Chicago paranormal landscape. Like you said, really, Joliet Prison is not that far from
Archer Avenue.
And all of the spookiness there. And I mean, we drove by Chet's and all sorts of stuff. So it was, this is all right in there.
So what was your first impressions of Joliet Prison?
It's like a castle. I mean, you can tell it's a prison, but it's like a castle. Like, it was just really weird to see. Like, it's just not what you would expect in the middle of like a neighborhood. Well,
I think the neighborhood was built around the prison. I don't think the neighborhood came first and then the prison was put in
true.
there.
Yeah. But it just was it was a different looking prison to have a stone, like a old stone, limestone. I'm sure you'll tell us more about the building of it, but just super interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we might have seen some stuff there. Huh?
We might have. It might come up in the debate.
All right. Well, we'll see. Do you have a ghost story for us?
I do. I made it a little shorter because I knew our listener mail was a little longer.
Okay.
But,
all right. Well, let's hear it.
Okay. I'm going to do my best. I'm so angry right now. This place is a joke. The warden and the guards think they have it all figured out, but they don't. We'll show them who's really in charge of this place. They keep giving us beans and treating us like animals. Huh. But some get special privileges and don't share nothing. It's cold and dark here, and men just scream all day and night. This riot never ends. I hear the warden is dead, but I don't know. I hear some prisoners are dead, but I don't think so. I haven't seen anyone dead. We're all just so angry about it all. This place is full of rotten scum. Tell us who you are. Who's there? What voice is that? Are you angry? Yeah, I'm angry. What happened here? What do they mean, what happened here? It's a riot. These dumb people, they keep coming and asking questions when we just want to get out of here. We just need to get something to the warden. Show him who's boss, then he'll listen. Can you tell us your name? I'm not telling nobody my name. Can you tell us why you're here? Riot! Who keeps asking these dumb questions? Can't they see what's happening? What are they doing here anyway? I keep seeing a light flashing, but I don't see who's talking. I just see me and the others shouting. Time to get this thing underway. What was that? I think I just heard a gunshot. I smell blood. Something happened. Is anyone here with us? Yes! Always yes. Why do they keep asking?
Wow. Okay, that was a little bit demented there, Rebecca.
I was inspired to go a little different this time.
It was a little different. I enjoyed it, but blood doesn't smell. I just want to let you know that. You can't smell blood.
Well, you smell something from the blood. That is a claim people
worked in
make.
blood banking for 20 years, and I was around blood constantly. It doesn't have an odor.
What about when it's drying up? People do. It's like there's a blood. there's like a metallic thing.
I never smelled it.
Okay.
Yeah, but that was a really good ghost story, and it's based upon what, the 1975 riots?
Yes.
We're going to talk about that in the history section.
Paranormal investigations that happen to this day.
Well, I'm not going to cover that in the history section because, yeah, that would be not fair because you would win the debate then, and I need to win this one.
Okay.
So in order to get it out of people's mind, let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll do the history, all the facts, all the hashtag Pat facts, and we'll put it out there, and then people could just go vote right after hearing that.
Nope. Still got to do the debate.
We'll be back in a minute.
Oh, hey there, Count Panic. I got a question for you.
What's that, Bob?
What do you know about Mothman, the Loch Ness Monster, ghosts, demons, and things that go bump in the night?
Not much, Bob.
Well, lucky for you, we host a podcast called Bob After Dark where we talk about legends, lore, and the supernatural.
Wow, where can I find this podcast?
Wherever you find your great podcasts at.
All right, we are back. And this episode's history section is sponsored by hashtag PatFacts.
PatFacts.
Pat's Facts. From a skeptic point of view. Pat's Facts. He presents it all to you. Pat's Facts. Facts.
So I had no idea of the history of Joliet Prison. I'm not going to lie. When I was younger, I didn't really care so much about the history part of it. And I just knew that it was the place where they filmed the opening scene in the Blues Brothers. That's all that I knew about it. But I never really cared or had the resources to do the research when I was younger. I also probably thought it was Statesville. A lot of people get these two confused. Statesville is a very popular prison here. I talk about it a little bit in this, but this predates Statesville by a lot.
Yeah, okay. And Statesville still used? Or is that also closed?
I believe it's closed. We might want to check that, though.
Okay, sorry.
Now, Joliet Prison first opened its doors in 1858, but the prison itself was made by inmates of other prisons. Now, this place looks like a castle. It's so ornate for a prison, which just adds to its spookiness, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it was designed by the same architect that did Water Tower Place.
Oh, and they're both made with those limestones, which makes a lot of sense, and they do look very similar.
Yeah, that look of the castle look.
Yeah. But what gives it that castle look has a lot to do with the limestones that it was made of. And that limestone was actually quarried on site. So this was before dynamite, too. So it was probably all done by pickaxes. They were probably down in a quarry with pickaxes.
Wow.
Yeah. So, that made me think, it's time for a time perspective. We haven't done one of these in a while.
Okay. Yep. That's always good.
Absolutely.
Take a look.
So Joliet Prison opened up 3 years before Abraham Lincoln took office and the Civil War began. 5 years before the Gettysburg Battle. So to put it into our relationship with our episodes. James Buchanan was our president at the time. There were no cars. There was no electricity, no bicycles yet, and no radio.
So pickaxes.
That's what I'm thinking. And in fact, in 1858, Ezra Warner invented the first U.S. can opener. Although canned food existed at least 50 years prior to this, people were suggested to use a chisel and hammer to open cans. The rotary washing machine was invented by Hamilton Smith, and Jean Lenore invented an internal combustion engine.
Wow.
All in 1858.
Okay.
So that gives us a little idea of what life was like. It was dark. There was, there were no bikes. There were no cars. There was nothing. There was nothing to do. There was no radio. So people didn't even have podcasts then.
Right? Oh my gosh.
So I brought up the Civil War, and like a lot of prisons in those times, it not only held criminals in its cells, it also housed prisoners of war. And they might have been in separate cell blocks, but both the war criminals and the prisoners shared the yard, which is kind of insane in today's terms.
Yeah.
Because we don't associate prisoners of war as being criminals.
Definitely.
But they were there with criminals. I don't know if that, like they could have converted over some of the criminals to their side or the criminals could have converted some of the prisoners of war to become criminals. I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It really didn't take long for the first correctional officer to be killed on duty. It happened in 1865, and the CO, which is correctional officer, I'm just going to abbreviate it from now on.
You're giving us the prison lingo?
Yeah, the CO. His name was Joseph Clark. So these were really brutal times back then.
Yeah, I mean, this is, not here, but kind of Wild Westy times, a little bit still.
Well, I'm sure in the West, yeah.
Yeah.
But this is Joliet. This isn't West.
I know, but,
But yeah, I would definitely associate it with those same times. Overcrowding was just always a thing for Joliet Prison. Even in 1872, Joliet Prison set records for a single prison to have 1,239 inmates. So, since there weren't cars, a lot of the COs and a lot of the people that worked in the prison lived either really close to the prison or would stay at the prison itself.
Wow.
Yeah. So I love my job. Don't get me wrong. But I am sure glad to go home at night. I mean, imagine if your work was your home. Well, it kind of is nowadays,
well,
right?
yeah, that's true. But especially a prison.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. The prison did have plans to have a section for female inmates. This didn't work out too well because they were so overcrowded. So they constantly moved their female inmates from one cell block to another until in 1896, when they built a mini replica of the prison across the street from where the prison stands to hold the female inmates. You got to see that yesterday. What did you think?
I did. That was really odd. And it's right on the street. Like there wasn't even like a fence in front of it. I guess they figured the ladies were just going to stay.
Well, I don't think that their yard area was out front.
No, I'm sure that was in the back, but it just was, yeah.
But I think that they always considered female inmates to be more civilized than the male ones. But, we did Bonnie and Clyde, and I don't know. So I think that there was also a prison in Cuba that was a replica of Joliet Prison, but I think it closed in the 1990s sometime. The conditions of the prison were really unthinkable, especially in today's standards. It didn't even have running water until after 1917. And with the prison being almost 60 years old, and with all the advancements that were happening at that time, like plumbing and electricity and stuff, they figured that it would cost less money to open a new modern prison than to do the modernization needed to bring Joliet Prison up to the modern times. So they opened up another prison in Joliet, a more famous prison called Statesville.
There it is. And it is still open.
It is still open.
It is still open, yep.
But Statesville wasn't big enough to hold all the prisoners, though. And Joliet Prison stayed open.
Well, in Chicago, we have what we have.
Yeah. In the 60s, Joliet Prison not only held all of its prisoners, it also became a holding prison for inmates awaiting final assignment. So that's why we have Gacy being there for a short time.
So it was like a jail, which is like the jail is where you stay while you're on trial and all of that. Okay.
But they would process 20,000 transient inmates a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. 20,000 in addition to them being overcrowded as it was. So Joliet Prison has been in a lot of movies and television screens throughout the years. I try to mention them throughout this when the timing fits.
Okay.
One of the times was in 1966 when there was an episode of Get Smart filmed there. Remember Get Smart?
Yes.
It was season 2, episode 14 for all you Get Smart junkies out there. It was called The Whole Tooth and ... In the episode, Maxwell Smart gets himself thrown into prison so that he can talk to another inmate that was there. That's all I remember of the actual episode. I don't remember anything more.
So was it still open as a prison, even though they were filming
Yes.
there? Wow.
Yes, it
How
was.
dangerous is that?
In fact, we're not going to talk about it for a while, but a lot of the filming was done while the prison was still open.
That's wow. Okay.
Yeah. So in 1975, there was a major event at the prison. I'm not going to get into all the inmates that were there, although, have you ever heard of the crime of the century?
Yes.
Yeah, the people involved with that were held here.
Okay.
So
And Gacy, obviously, we already
for a
know.
short period of time,
Yeah.
and Speck was there for a short period of time. But I mean, we're not going to get into all that. It would just be too much for us to be able to get into that. But I want to cover some major events. So
Okay.
in 1975, there was a major event at the prison. Some of the gangs of the prison took over and held some of the COs, remember, that's our abbreviation of correctional officers, as hostages. Their primary grievance was that they were just going to be there temporarily, that they had so much control over the prison that they wanted to stay there, rather than risk going to another prison and being controlled by the COs there. So the gangs killed a former gang member that was cooperating with the warden. His name was Herbert Cadillac Catlett. So this is where we get into the mafia names again, right? With
Yeah.
Herbert the Cadillac Catlett. Warden Fred L. Finkbeiner, I love that name.
That is an amazing name.
Finkbeiner was actually standing in the blood of Cadillacs while negotiating with the inmates after he was killed. The warden actually delivered the eulogy at Cadillac's wake in Chicago Heights.
That is so Chicago. I can't
Right?
even handle it. Like, just, listen, you killed the Cadillac. I killed the Cadillac. I'm standing in his blood. I'm Finkbeiner.
Finkbeiner.
And yet, he was a good guy. I'm gonna give a eulogy at his funeral. Like, you guys are good.
Hey, you got to. You got to do it. In 1980, while the prison was still open, Rebecca,
Okay.
the opening of the Blues Brothers movie was filmed there. So you see John Belushi's character, Jake Blues, being released, and Dan Aykroyd's character, Elwood Blues, was picking him up across the street, and that was by the woman's prison.
Yeah.
So I made you watch that too.
Yes, and I've seen The Door.
Yeah, you've seen The Door, and I pointed it out when we got there too. In 1994, again, prison still open. Saturday Night Live did a skit there concerning prison life with Chris Farley and Martin Lawrence. So here is when it ends, Rebecca.
Okay.
In 2002, it was the official closing of Joliet Prison. It was in serious need of major renovations, and this time they just couldn't find the money for it. So they decided to close it. And on May 30th, 2017, one of the buildings, it was actually the mattress factory, because, they would actually make stuff for people outside of the prison and sell it. That's how they raised some of the money. And they did have a mattress factory. It was heavily damaged by a fire, the cause of which was later determined to be arson. This is the third building to be severely damaged or destroyed by fire at the facility. In 2017, it was featured in Season 1, Episode 9 of Netflix Mindhunter as the prison holding serial killer Richard Speck.
Mindhunter is amazing.
It is. I really love that. And Richard Speck, oh man, we could do a whole
that's
episode
a whole
about
other
him.
Thing, yeah.
But yeah, so that was in 2017. And as of 2018, the Joliet Area Historical Museum is running tours of the penitentiary for Route 66 travelers and other interested parties. They have different tours that are being offered. They have a historic tour. They have a photographer, tripod-friendly tour, and a paranormal tour.
There you go. And I'm sure obviously some of that has been curtailed right now, but I do know they're still doing some things there.
Well, actually, I just read that they're opening a haunted house there.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's going to actually be this year, but I believe it is. Because when we were there were signs for it.
Okay.
And the last bit of history that I have is in 2019, Old Joliet Prison, which you saw the sign, it says Old Joliet Prison, and you made a remark that must be something new because they wouldn't call it Old Joliet Prison when it was open. It was featured as a haunted location in an episode of Ghost Adventure titled Serial Killer Spirits, John Gacy Prison, featuring our friend Nick Mataragas as Gacy, and he was filmed naked in the shower. He won't admit to this, but we know that it's true.
I was kind of hoping to not have to think about that today, but okay.
But we can't do it without, Nick was naked in the prison.
It's true. He really was.
Yeah, he'll say he wasn't, but he was.
He was. We did the old school VCR, pause it, frame by frame.
Unfortunately,
we did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw more of Nick than I ever wanted to see, so... do you have anything to add to the history, Rebecca?
No, I think you got all the big stuff that I read about. The only other thing I know they had was a farm. I read about that they would have the prisoners go work on the farm. You mentioned the mattress factory. Yeah. That was one of the other workplaces that I heard about. I think the farm was just for food for the prisoners. That could be. To supplement their cost of food. Yeah, but it was a big deal because they were, as far as like the riots, or maybe it wasn't the riots, but it was just problems at the prison that just, prisoners that got to go do work at the farm or some of these other places got better privileges. They almost got exposed to kind of like normal life. True. And then it was real difficult to go back in. And I think it just kind of led to some of the strife. Yeah. So, man, it has a lot of history behind it. And, it's just so weird to be able to drive up to it and to see it. It kind of hits you out of nowhere if you come the direction we did. You pretty much pass under a viaduct. There's a bunch of places that fix cars there. We went through Lockport to get there. So and it's just it is. It just kind of comes up on you. You wouldn't be like, oh, I'm about to get to a prison. Yeah, there used to be signs there that would say, don't pick up hitchhikers. Yeah, of course. I didn't see any when we were taking the drive. And it was, just think about it. It was over 100 years old that it was in operation. Yeah. That's pretty amazing. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So we should probably take a break and then get into the debates. Let's get into it. All right. Listeners, did you know there's a way to share with the world whether you're hashtag team believer or hashtag team skeptic, or for those who need it, hashtag team the middle? It's our store called Ghostly Gear. Yep, and we even have custom ghostly designs like microclimate or even the Easter Island Massacre or of the ghostly logo. Just visit our Ghostly Gear store right on ghostlypodcast.com to order your t-shirt, hoodie, mug, mask, whatever. Okay. I think we got it. They just need to visit ghostlypodcast.com and click on Ghostly Gear to order right on the website and send us any ideas that you have for new merch. Exactly. Order your merch today and send us a pic of you in your ghostly gear. All right, we're back. Are you ready for the debate? I am ready for the debate. Okay, then we are ready for the debate. So what do you have for me? All right, well, I thought we should start with our own experiences. Oh, I'd rather not. Because you know that it's true. You're the one that pointed this out to me, by the way. Okay, all right. I'd like listeners to know that. So we parked and got out and and this is parking lot right at the prison. There's not a lot of space between you and the prison. And on the second floor, kind of towards the front door almost, it looks like. There's a window and you saw lights coming from the window. Now, at first, I was like, oh, no, that's just a reflection of car lights. Like, because you could see there's like plastic in the window. Not just in that window, in other windows as well. But the more I looked at it, I was like, no, it's not timing right.
Yeah.
With the street. And then you noticed.
And it looked like an old school ghost, you know, trying to like scare something.
It was very Scooby-Doo.
It was,
It really did. It looked like the Scooby-Doo ghost. And you noticed you're like, it seems to be like kind of regular on the like timing almost.
Well, okay, but the really odd thing is that there were no other cars in the parking lot.
I think that's the part because I was like, well, no, I'm sure it's just people working on the haunted house or working on the whatever in there. And then you were like, no, but where are there cars? Like, there's no cars here of like people working.
It took me a while to get that concept into you.
Yeah, I couldn't. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying to be the skeptic. Okay.
For once.
So, and it was weird because it was the only window that had that. Like any of the windows
there were some
next
other
to it.
windows that reflected the light
Right.
that we were able to prove that were reflecting the light.
Yeah.
But this one was very odd.
It was a very odd window. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I do have some pictures and a little video, so we'll see if I can get those together and put those out there for you guys to look at. But
you put it on the website?
Yeah, I'll put some pictures on the website. I don't know if we can put the video there, but that'll certainly be on.
Well, we could put it on
media.
YouTube, and then we could link to the website.
It's like
as
4
well.
seconds of video, but anyways,
Okay,
it's interesting.
So after a night of thinking about it, I really believe that this was some kind of like projector that was meant for like a Halloween decoration, like. Because it was just too much, like, as you said, Scooby-Doo ghost. It was like a ghost with like a white sheet over it.
Right. Or
like scary going, rawr.
Do you remember that episode where it was like the chocolate ghost, the strawberry ghost, and the vanilla ghost?
No, I think that's Pac-Man you're thinking
No, there was a Scooby-Doo episode with that. And I don't even remember if they were in a candy factory or ice cream factory or something like that. But that's what it looked like, was just this. They had like dripping like mud coming off of them. I really liked Scooby-Doo.
Okay, so what was your rating for this one?
I'm gonna give it a 5.
You're going to give it a 5?
Yeah,
okay.
Again,
that's your lowest rating in a while.
It is
you
one of
gave
my...
a couple of 4s in one of the episodes.
Yeah, I have.
Amityville, I think.
Yeah, there's too much of a reason to think that there could be human things going on there that we don't know about. Like, I would need to do more investigation for that number to go up. Like, is it creepy enough for me to give it a 5? Yes.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at.
And because of COVID, we didn't actually go into the prison at all. Not that there would be a lot of people in there, but we would have to have someone let us in and do all this stuff.
Right.
And we didn't arrange that. We just wanted to go there at a sporadic time, and
see what's
just
up.
Kind of be unannounced.
Yeah.
When you announce yourself coming, sometimes you see more stuff than if you just show up.
Yeah, the ghosts were surprised.
The ghosts were surprised. So
what was your rating?
I'm going to give it a 0.
Even though you're the one that kept trying to convince me it was paranormal.
After thinking about it for the night, I really thought that it was like on a loop.
Yeah, it felt a little bit like that.
Like when it would go up to the top right corner of the window, it just felt like it was always at a certain point in this loop that was happening. So it just really felt timed. And since there is some kind of scientific reasoning for it, I'm going to go with that.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It's not that scientific, but I mean, people do that. There's a couple of Halloween decorations that I've seen where you could actually project like ghosts into your window, and they look pretty realistic now. I mean, they've come a long way. This is one of those kind of things, especially since they're opening a haunted house.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. You ready for the next one?
Probably not, but let's do it.
This is the singing ghost.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So in the summer of 1932, thousands of people, like 5,000 some people, like gathered, like from Joliet to Chicago, gathered at it's the cemetery. I've heard it called a couple different things. The one source is the old penitentiary cemetery, but it's by the women's prison.
Okay.
But it was where they would bury both
inmates
from both jails, right? Or both prisons. And so they were coming there in search of the singing ghosts that was said to have been seen wandering among the graves. This is from one source. It said, as was typical at the time, these early ghost hunters came armed with shotguns, knives, and other weapons.
No, that's just Joliet. That's just what they do in Joliet all the time. Anywhere they go.
I just think that's so crazy to be like, they're like, it's a ghost, so I'm bringing my knife.
Well, I mean, I carry a pocket knife wherever I go.
Well, okay.
Yeah. Well, Rebecca, I have some rather bad news for you.
What's that?
On your bit of evidence. It's been debunked, actually.
Oh, no.
Yeah. The ghost was revealed to be an inmate at the prison who enjoyed singing on the way to and from his duties, working the pumps at the nearby Joliet quarries, which took him through the burying grounds.
Oh, so they figured out who it was?
They figured it out.
It was just like a guy singing on
It was just a guy, yeah. So,
I was thinking, I'm like, 5,000 people coming to see this
5,000
ghost.
people saw a ghost, yeah. No, it was not a ghost. But I hear he had a beautiful voice, though.
Well, okay.
Beautiful singing voice. What would you rate this evidence?
Well, then I'm going to give that one like a 3.
A 3?
Yeah, that sounds pretty...
Even though proven to be this person, you're still going 3, not a 0.
Hey, I have heard of other things going on in that cemetery. I couldn't find any other like hard stories. So, I have to give a little bit that there could be something there, but yeah.
Well, I'm going to give this one a 0
Okay,
again.
all
Yeah.
right.
Because it's been debunked.
Okay.
So, you're going to tell us about the Sausage King, right?
This is my favorite.
Okay.
I was not ready for this story when I started this research. So, the Sausage King of Chicago was one of the earlier inmates.
Wait, is that the one from Ferris Bueller?
Abe Froman?
Yeah. Didn't he say that he was the Sausage King?
Yeah, he did. And young listeners, if you haven't watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off, you need to go do so immediately. No, it is not that same one.
There's been more than one Sausage King of Chicago?
I think Chicago must always have to have a Sausage King. I'm sure we could find one even right now.
So he was usurped? Usurped?
Yes, I guess so.
That Sausage King was usurped.
I think
they replaced him with another
That's
one.
what we do. Yeah.
Wow. Who's the current Sausage King?
Well, I think we'd have to figure out who's in charge of like Oscar Mayer or something right now. I don't know.
Would that be like, or would it be like more of like an Italian sausage?
Well, I was gonna say like or Vienna beef or something.
I mean, that's like a hot dog, and I know hot dogs are sausages, but I mean, to be the Sausage King.
Right. Well, Vienna.
Is it just like money that you make on the sausages?
I think it's that you're like the biggest seller of it.
The biggest seller. So then, that could be like a Vienna beef.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, it's a research to do.
Yeah.
All right. So this was in 1898.
Oh, okay. Definitely not Ferris Bueller. Then.
No. He was a German immigrant, meat packer, and quote unquote sausage king, Adolf Lutgert.
Lutgert.
We got great names in this episode.
We do.
He was convicted of killing and incinerating and putting in a vat of acid his wife Louisa at his Chicago factory.
Now, by the way,
sausage factory.
By the way, we do not condone killing of wives in sausage factories on Ghostly Podcast. Just putting it out there.
I'm going to also say we don't condone the killing of wives, just period.
Especially in sausage factories, though, because, I mean, come on. We got to keep our sausages clean.
Well, the other thing was he wasn't very smart. Basically, his employees were like they were like, yeah, we saw him putting ashes here.
No.
We saw him doing this. I'm pretty sure if you go in that vat over there, you're going to find something. Like they were like the employees totally ratted him out. So he had a hung jury, but then they tried him again and he did get convicted. And he was sent to Joliet Prison for life. He had a life sentence. Wow. While he's there, his mental state deteriorated and he started to babble that his dead wife was haunting him. He died in 1900, so he wasn't there very long. And his factory burned down in 1902. So we could actually do a whole episode on the ghost of Louisa Lutgertz.
Well, I want to do a whole episode on the Sausage King of Chicago.
Yes.
I want to get interviews of the current one.
But
and
yeah,
I hope they're not killing wives still.
Let's hope not. So the idea is that perhaps that she did come back to haunt him. Again, he used to say that, and he started kind of going crazy as he was in the prison. And then when he died, when they did his autopsy, basically they're like the coroner said he died under quote great mental strain.
Wow.
And an enlarged liver.
And enlarged liver. Okay.
Yeah. But also specifically said great mental strain. So
I don't know how they could see the mental strain in an autopsy.
I don't know either, but
Okay.
he did. And then now there's, again, this is something I didn't think we'd have time for in this episode, but there's a lot more stories of her ghost haunting the factory.
Oh, wow.
That's like a whole, again, like I said, that's the factory and their house. So there's been some sightings of her there.
Well, I'm ready to give my opinion about the Sausage King. I believe that. So I'm betting that you are saying that the stress that he was under was caused by the ghost of his wife. Well, I am going to say that killing his wife, being convicted and having a life sentence was enough to cause the mental strain and therefore caused him to see his wife.
So we have a difference of opinion in cause versus reaction and which one was which came first.
The chicken or the egg?
Yes.
Well, I believe it would have to be the egg because a chicken is born, right? You don't just magically have a chicken.
But how do you have an egg without a chicken?
Anyways, we're not going to get into this right now. But yeah, I believe that he was under a lot of stress. I mean, killing your wife in a sausage factory, actually being the Sausage King of Chicago has to be pretty stressful to begin with, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be fair. We eat a lot of sausage in Chicago.
We do like our sausage.
So yeah, he's a Sausage King. He's under a lot of stress. He kills his wife. That has to be pretty stressful.
Well, he was also under some financial strain at the time, which is part of it. Well, he was also having multiple affairs. Again, it is a long story.
Sounds like a very stressful life.
Yeah, but then once you're in prison, what else is done? Why are you stressed anymore? You're just in prison now.
Did you hear about the conditions? There were no toilets. There were no showers. You probably had to bathe in the yard. I can't even understand. Like, what did they do? Did they have just a bunch of tubs in the yard that people would just jump into? Like, I don't get the bathing situation.
Well, I'm sure they had something. I mean, obviously, for most of human history.
It sounds stressful, though.
Yeah, but not as stressful as your wife haunting you.
Maybe, but I think his mental condition caused him to believe that his wife was haunting him.
So what's your rating?
0. 0 for the Sausage King.
Okay.
You know what? I need to hear testimony from the current Sausage King in order to know what kind of stress that they went under. I really think that we should have had an interview.
Okay.
With the
Well,
Sausage King.
I'll leave that to you. To
we
work
need to
on
find
that.
if Sausage King, if you are listening to this episode, please email us info@ghostlypodcast.com. Which is also where you can send listener mail, by the way. And we would love to have you on the show. We really need your evidence. We really need to know what happens to a sausage king.
All right. So I'm going to give it a 7.
A 7?
Yeah,
Wow.
I felt this was, or even a 7.5. Now I'm letting the other sightings of her ghost influence my vote a little bit.
But this episode is about Joliet Prison
I know.
haunted?
But I also actually, the bigger part too is the coroner. Like it's really weird reading his report. So, so no, I do think he was haunted by his wife, and that's what led to him dying. So
Okay.
there you go. All right. You ready for the last one?
Last one. Okay. Yeah. I'm ready.
Okay. So you mentioned the riot.
I did. The
The
1975. Yeah.
And I mentioned it a little. That was my story. It was kind of based on this next piece, which is that a lot of times when they do ghost hunting, paranormal investigations at the prison, they claim to hear the ghosts from the riot. So this is from an article by a journalist named John Farrick. And again, I'll post the link to his article. But he went on one of these investigations.
Okay.
So I think Chicago Hauntings tours did it. And there's a video on there. But basically they do a spirit box, and they claim in the spirit box that you can hear sounds of the prisoners rioting.
Okay.
So the guide asked, are you guys rioting again? And they hear, get some video. One of the spirits responded. And then the guide said, I am. And then he says, at another point in our tour, the guides picked up another curious paranormal response. Given we were at Old Joliet Prison, the tormented voice made perfect sense. It said, get me out. So this author, this is what he says. He closes out his article. He says, based on Friday night's experience, I came away convinced that there are lots of disturbed and lonely spirits still trapped behind the creepy walls of the Old Joliet Prison. About the only thing they have going for themselves is that they're living here rent-free.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to say if these are ghosts, they're residual. As we heard in our Country House episode, residual are ghosts that are pretty much replaying the same thing over and over and over again. They're not intelligent because these answers don't seem like they are really answering the question. Are you guys rioting again? Get some video. Okay, that doesn't answer that. And
Get me out.
Get me out is, what, yeah. These spirit boxes, I don't trust that they are accurate. Well,
this was, I will say, a very old, one of the old school. This is not like the new one that we heard about in the last episode with Country House. Like, this is one of those where like you can hear that it's a radio, but there are some pretty clear, voices that come out.
Yeah.
But it's definitely an old school one.
Yeah, I believe that there could be a lot of interference from like TV stations, radio stations, microwaves, things like that could make sounds on these boxes. And we are interpreting these sounds to be that because we want to hear something. And our brains are great, are great at puzzles. We're great at solving puzzles, and we put our own conclusion to it. So we're putting those words in their mouth. Get some video. I mean, that has nothing to do with what they were just talking about. So, and get me out. Those are very short sentences that could be, I'm sure it wasn't as clear as the ones that we heard from the Country House were with their amazing spirit box that they have. So I'm going to say, I don't believe I believe that it was just interference and they're just interpreting it that way.
Okay, so what would you rate this then?
I'm going to rate it a 1.
Oh, whoa.
Whoa, stop the presses.
All
Pat
right.
rates a 1.
Pat rates a 1. I'm going to give it a 7.
A 7.
Yeah,
okay.
I do think that those riot ghosts, if there's anything in that prison, it's them. Because that was a very stressful time.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole time was pretty stressful, I would say, for I mean, prison is stressful, right?
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Again,
so...
I don't know but I would imagine.
Well, I think you should go to prison and find out.
Well, I did
see if you could find a
tutor
sausage
at the
queen.
jail.
Okay, did they seem stressed out?
Yes, but they were, because that's where they were awaiting trial, so they were,
okay.
Yeah, it was stressful.
Well, some of these people were awaiting trial, $20,000
That's
a
true.
year since 1960.
Right.
Yeah. So, I don't know. What are your overall ratings?
Okay. So my overall rating then for this one is going to be a 6.5.
Okay.
6.5.
I thought we weren't doing.
We're not doing.
We argue
halves.
about this. That's fine.
I'll give it a 7.
We could
give it a 7.
We could do point whatever you want. We just need to start incorporating that in. I am going to rate this at a 0.0001.
Okay, that's where your 1 comes from.
Yeah. It translates into it's 1/1000th.
Yes.
Of a possibility.
Okay.
All right. So do you have anything else to add to the debate?
No, I'm ready for our next.
All right. Well, that brings us to the closing arguments. This is our last chance to convince you to vote our way. We are each given 1 minute of uninterrupted time. We will time each other on our cell phones to keep each other honest. Rebecca, are you ready?
I am.
All right, here we go. 1 minute on the clock and start.
All right. Joliet Prison is definitely haunted. In addition to everything that you've heard about this place, after doing the research for this, while I don't know if we saw ghosts ourselves there, I do think that the evidence from paranormal investigations and what's happened to these prisoners living there in these conditions that Pat's been talking about, I just don't know how you don't have negative spirit energy there, that you don't have people living on loops or ghosts living on loops at the prison. It doesn't seem possible to me. I mean, I think that all of these stories are true? I don't. But I do think that the riots and the Sausage King, there's just a lot of evidence with that. And so I'm falling on the side of yes. Maybe not the strongest yes I've ever had, but certainly a yes. And I'm done.
Oh, wow. You were done early.
Yeah, I didn't need much time.
You still had 2 seconds left.
See?
All right. I'm ready whenever you are, Rebecca.
All right. And go.
So I am a man of science. Therefore, I do not take emotions into this. I will not come into a story and say, well, because of its history, then it has to be haunted. I look for real evidence within these stories. And unfortunately, with this, I do not feel that there is enough evidence to support any kind of haunting to this place. Yes, there were bad things that happened, but there's bad things that happen all over the place. And if we were to say that ghosts are everywhere, bad things happen, there would be ghosts virtually everywhere, and all of us would have tons of experience with them. I do not believe it was haunted because I don't bring my emotions in. I'm done.
Wow. All right.
So thank you guys so much for listening. Please share us with your friends and family, as word of mouth is our best advertisement. What's our best advertisement?
Word of mouth.
Definitely. So we will be back actually next week with another ghostly episode. We're doing 5 in a row.
Yeah, this is number 1 of 5.
Yeah, although in October, we're going to be focusing on seances.
So excited about this.
Yeah, and the next episode is going to be amazing. We have a great interview with the medium that does seances, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Rebecca did this interview. I haven't even heard the interview, so.
Yeah, she is a wonderful woman she's very clear. I think we're all going to learn so much from listening to this interview. And then we'll bring in, of course, some of our own, information as well. But she's got some great stuff to share with us.
And she heads a church that does that talks to the dead on like a weekly basis, right?
Yep. And we've actually been there.
We have been there.
Yeah. So definitely tune in. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything all month long. And remember to vote.
Yeah. And go to our website. That's where you're going to find the polls, ghostlypodcast.com. Also, while you're there, you can actually submit a request for episodes too.
Yeah, we finally created a place.
If you go under the episodes tab, you will see request a
episode suggestions.
Suggestions.
Yes.
You will see episode suggestions. Click on that. There's a form, simple form. You can fill it out. Less than 5 seconds.
Yeah, we're making
Send us
plans
a
for next
request.
year, and
We are
I'm
definitely.
excited to get some great ideas. We've had a few recently, and I think I'm looking forward to more.
And right after Halloween, we are going to be doing an episode that was requested by a listener that was just so interesting that we were like, no, we're doing this right away.
Yeah, sometimes you might push something off of our predetermined schedule.
That we just get so excited about that. We're just like, we can't wait to do this one.
So we're doing it now.
But until our next episode next Wednesday, stay ghostly.
Bye.